What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. It's episode 145. We're going over UFC Paris featuring Gane versus Spivac as the main event. And no, I'm not coming live to you from a Guantanamo cell. This is what $1,700 a month gets you in Joe Byron's America. So just we're crushing it out here,
Byron.
America.
Byron. Love those videos.
But yeah, man, decided to talk some fights with you. We're gonna start with the main card first. Fight with main event first. You know, more specifically. How you doing, bro? My boy Harrison's in concussion protocol, y'all. He bonked his noggin, so that's why he's rocking the cool guy shades.
Yeah, I took a fall and hit my head off the table, and then our floors are concrete. And I'm pretty sure I was still awake after the table, and then the concrete put me completely out. Snoring like Curtis Blades in the ring after Derek Lewis KO'd him. Pretty scary, I guess. I'm good, though. Just some light sensitivity, so that explains the sunglasses for everyone.
And my dog's gonna occasionally go check.
Hey, she's on beam. Uh-oh. We might be losing D-Mac. But it's no worries. As he reconnects, I will just fill in the time. It's UFC Paris main event, featured with Ciryl Gane. We have 9 French fighters, and this man has moved houses, as you can see. Does not have the Wi-Fi up and running as of yet. Is trying
I'm
to
back.
get his. He's back now. He's back now. We see him.
I'm back.
He's
I'm
back
back. Can
now.
you hear me?
Yeah. I explained your Wi-Fi situation while you
Yeah.
were
No,
gone.
I could hear you the whole time. Yeah, it's gonna be a real nightmare, y'all. Bear with me. I'm gonna try my best. We didn't want to miss the streak, but fuck, dude. Yeah, I don't have my Wi-Fi set up yet, and it's like this building's made out of brick, so my signal in here is dog shit. I planned on honestly doing this episode from the car. Wife took the car to work. God damn it, it's a real shit show. But yeah, man, Gone versus Spivac. They took the show to Paris. The crowd was awesome. Glad you survived your fucking concussion, and we'll dive into this the best we can. And my apologies to everybody watching.
Crowd was super awesome, by the way. As like a high note for Paris and for France mixed martial arts, like their crowd might have been the best one I've heard. To be quite honest, like they were loud, they were deafening. I mean, when Saint Denis was in there, like not even the big name fighters, I thought they were going the most berserk for. So
Yeah, they were. And speaking of, like, they were there for the prelims, packed house for the prelims, and yeah, they were awesome. But yeah, man, we'll dive into this main event. We got Ciryl Gane, minus 190 favorite at the number 2 ranking in the heavyweight division, taking on Serghei Spivac, plus 160, 7th ranked contender. And
you know what? I wanted to ask you this too because we didn't bet on this card, and I'm definitely going to start betting on college football. I think too because I just see some gaping holes in Vegas already. Now, granted, that's week 1, and maybe I'm the smart guy in the back of the room that didn't bet anything and is talking big. But point being, we didn't bet this week, but I almost liked the plus 160 on Spivak here. Was the main point of what I was getting at.
me too. Me too. I like Spivak. We just saw Gon get subbed. Like, I mean, you can rarely use the word easy when referring to finishing a heavyweight UFC fighter, but John Jones sure made it look easy. And Ciryl Gane appeared to have negative 1,000 submission defense ranking, and he's going up against the grappler and Spivak. And I just thought that it would be a bad matchup for Gon. And now on the split on the other side, two sides of every coin. Like, same thing could be said. Like, I don't think anybody expected Spivak to out kickbox Gone. We
Right.
just thought that so it was a huge, like, a bad striker versus a good striker and a bad grappler versus a good grappler.
I think
So it's like,
to illustrate your point even better, Ciryl Gane in heavyweight has the highest striking accuracy, and Serghei Spivac has the highest takedown accuracy in heavyweight. So literally the best of the
ooh,
best in what they're the best at, but neither one is good at what the other's good at.
yeah, yeah. And so honestly, I was surprised at the money line. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I think it was Spivak's first main event. It was in Gane's home country. So there was some Gane, former interim champ. Big jump in competition for Spivac. All can be true. However, just what we just broke down, stylistic matchup. I was expecting a closer money line and a closer fight, quite frankly.
Not a close fight, to not belabor the point, but I also think that Ciryl Gane out athleted Spivac. I mean, the one time that Spivac got in on a takedown, Ciryl Gane literally jumped upwards to the cage and used the cage to negate, because if he's in the open air and you jump, you obviously get taken down, right? But he jumped and let himself be carried to the cage, almost kicked himself off. It was really impressive, and I was like, that's just out athleting a takedown.
I'm so glad you said that. I was thinking the same thing. Gane. Yeah, I mean, you summed it up perfectly. I don't got too much to add. Just kind of co-sign. He definitely out-athleted Spivac. He made Spivac look slow. He made Spivac look fat. He made Spivac look sloppy.
And his footwork was just so much better that Spivac looked like he was. I mean, slow is an understatement. I feel like Spivac couldn't even get off the fence. When Ciryl Gane would back him into the corner, he would just be stuck there, just be rotating sides of the octagon, the fence, the single fence side. I mean.
Yeah, man, and Spivac. Just first off, Gane's game plan too of just he was going to the body early and often and really never stopped. I mean, this finish started as a result of body shots, and they say money in the bank body shots that'll pay dividends in the 4th and 5th round. While true, I mean this only took 8-9 minutes to pay dividends. We already noticed that Spivac much doughier in the middle than Gane. Gane's going to have the cardio advantage. Gane's gone 25 minutes before. Spivac has not. So really smart by Gane to attack the body, A, because it's soft, B, because he already has a cardio advantage. So that widens that gap even further. And ultimately leads to the second round stoppage. It wasn't a one-shot KO. Very much a accumulation, overwhelming kind of knockout. Sean Strickland-esque knockout. Old Deshaun Strickland up next week. Can't wait to check that one out. But yeah, man, just death by 1,000 cuts for Ciryl Gane.
Yeah,
not too undifferent. Looked visually very similar to the Tuivasa fight.
It looked like the Ciryl Gane we're used to seeing when it's not Ngannou and Jones, to be quite honest, which sucks for him. But at the same time, when you look at how he mixed up the strikes, 39 out of 49 going to the body. That's great. 22 of 22 on the legs. Didn't whip a leg kick. And then 48 out of 85 on the headshots, giving him 109 out of 156 significant strikes. I mean, that's a great clip.
I bet 30 of those head strikes came in the last 30 seconds of that finishing sequence.
It was mostly body and legs, and it opened up the head for him to get the finish.
Yeah, like I said, very much like when Ciryl Gane fought Tuivasa, he just prodded that body essentially till Tuivasa couldn't take it anymore. Not to say that he quit, but literally, if it's the UFC video game, that midsection is just too much damage points. He literally just spammed body shots. And these fat, I'm starting to learn, you can't put Ciryl Gane against a fat heavyweight.
Yeah, they have to be some sort of athlete, because otherwise he can just dance around them the whole time, pepper them with strikes, work their body, get to that doughy center, and essentially break their cardio and break their will to fight.
Literally, because he doesn't have the power advantage over these guys. He has the fight IQ, the footwork, and just really is a plus athlete. The only other people that have beat him, as we alluded to, the most plus athletes, John Jones, NFL pedigree genetics. We know that for 100% facts. Don't have to speculate. And Ngannou,
freak of all freaks,
genetics. As well as spent a life working in sand mines that just accentuated the genetics. So yeah, you're not gonna find. I'm just convinced you have to be a world-class athlete to be Gane, which we got to take into consideration for future betting purposes. Like I said, we both kind of like the plus 160 Spivac stylistically, trying to be the smart guy in the room and stick up for the art of grappling, but.
Well,
fat guys ain't beating this guy.
Let's talk about what's next for him, because it sounds like Tom Aspinall, he didn't say no effectively. He said his path he wants is back to the belt. Said he wants to fight for a belt.
Said no.
That's kind of a back and forth. I
didn't love it.
I hate it because it's middle ground and it gives the UFC all the leverage to say, Well, your path to the belt is to beat Tom Aspinall, and then you get to fight for it. Like, beat Aspinall and you can fight for a belt again. Like, he gave the UFC all the leverage to tell him what it takes to fight for a belt.
He just hurt himself because, like, exactly like you said, he's probably going to have to fight Aspinall anyway. Why not start promoting the fight, building it up, making us give a shit about it? And Tom Aspinall responded. I don't know if it was on Twitter, if somebody put a microphone in his face, but I read a quote where he was like, I mean, I'm not a bully. If somebody doesn't want to fight, I don't want to fight him. So if he's like, I don't know, Chael be talking about that shit too. Like, we don't want to. We'll take a guy at his word. Like, if he says he doesn't want to fight him, I don't want to see him.
All right. I mean, yeah, and that's fair because that just leaves it open for Aspinall to fight Pavlovich. Which, in my opinion,
Aspinall also touched on that. He said that if Gane doesn't want to fight Serghei.
Right, and it works itself out. Like, all right, Ciryl Gane, talk your way out of it in a 5-man race. Do what you want to do.
Rob your career real quick. Just
Speaking of Rob, did you see the video Sean O'Malley posted?
Yeah, it was perfect. He didn't even know it was.
Didn't know it was Marab. So good. Marab's shadow boxing in the rain, like a downpour. I guess in a hotel. And O'Malley just sees a guy.
Vegas is like flooding right now.
Yeah, and O'Malley just sees him working out outside the hotel, and he starts videoing him, and he's like, "Who the fuck is this freak? Just trying to oh yeah, video me striking out here in the rain, like I'm getting a workout out here." And then you go to Marab's Instagram, and it's him doing exactly that. So good. Just builds the smoke better. The bantamweight storylines are never-endingly good.
But yeah, I mean, I think as fans, we kind of are in a win-win situation. It's a 3-man race, like you said. Like, it's either going to be Gane Aspinall, Gane Pavlovich,
or Pavlovich Aspinall, and the winner.
Like
and like honestly, it might just be those 3 because I think the top 2 that are about to fight, I think they both retire.
So too, and if not, so be it. But yeah, Stipe. I mean, you could argue Stipe doesn't deserve this shot. You know what I'm saying? So this fight is kind of, if Stipe retires, I actually support it more. Like, all right, one for the Gipper. These guys always wanted to fight each other.
Feels like a legacy
almost
fight.
Like Max and Zombie.
Yeah,
feels like Max and Zombie.
Feels like a legacy fight. Like, we just need to get it done. This is like, both you guys have historic careers. You got nothing really else you can add. Only things you can lose. And this fight's not a loss for either guy.
Yeah, so, yeah, it'll be. I mean, I'll be real. Heavyweight hasn't been this interesting, really. You could argue years that the whole John Francis rumor got us interested, but never came to fruition. Like, the D era was okay, you know. The Francis era, like, some of his biggest fights ended up being duds. You know what I mean? Heavyweight is hot. We got a young guy.
Well, there's a dark horse out there too. Almeida's lurking at the back.
Almeida's the fucking.
Johnny Walker's brother just signed. He's a heavyweight. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know.
It's all right, guys. Harrison's concussed. It's okay. We'll give him a pass for that one. But
hey, we never know.
Almeida's lurking back there for sure. And then, yeah, I mean, so, yeah, Gane gets the KO win. And I'll be real, I mean, Gane did a lot to, like, rehab his image. I mean, Twitter hit a 180, and everybody was saying this guy's a world beater. Like, I saw people tweeting that, like, oh, this guy's a problem for Aspinall. I'll be real. I mean, I'll ask you that question, and we'll keep it pushing to the co-main. But, like, it's it's looking like it may end up being Gane versus Aspinall. Like, handicap that fight a little bit. And I saw some smart marks on Twitter saying, like, oh, this is all types of problems for Aspinall. I didn't see that because
Aspinall way better grappling. Slow. Aspinall can strike with Gane most likely. I don't know if he can move with him. The footwork is going to be on Gane's side. I think Aspinall's inside the pocket striking is actually better. I just don't think the range control is going to be there for him. But if he gets it close and gets a takedown, it's his world.
Exactly, like, and just we talked about he's not fat. He's an athlete. I wouldn't say he's like a
not John a super athlete, but enough of an athlete.
The two of us and Spivac,
kind of that Pavlovich level, where it's like, all right, like you're probably athletic enough.
Yeah, enough, exactly. I don't know. I just thought matchup wise, I just thought that was a weird Twitter take of like, I don't know what you take out of the Spivac matchup that says he's too much for Aspinall. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would think Aspinall is maybe minus 130, minus 140. Ciryl Gane plus
Favorite.
120. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you gotta consider the groundwork. If that gets anywhere near the ground, he
That's
wins.
interesting.
And the striking
I
is
assume
close. The striking's not so far apart. So it's like,
we're kind of saying the same thing. You said minus 140 plus 120. I would have said the same thing the other way, just because of a 5 round experience. If it is a 5 rounder, former interim champ, the kind of just general overall perception that Gane has kind of righted the ship. Even you know, that's interesting. I kind of just had a different connotation, different takeaway, but we're saying the same thing.
I almost
Pretty
think
close to a
Aspinall
coin
could
flip
pull
odds.
guard and still be dangerous. That's how much I think his ground game is better.
To test that and like just like maybe early in the first round, just kind of like to
I
give up around
mean,
the first is the one that give away, and that'd be interesting. I mean, I think either way, like I said, you can't miss if you're the UFC, like because Pavlovich is just as interesting as any of these options. But yeah, heavyweight's on fire, bro. I'm excited. It's a good time. Like heavyweight was so dead for so long with the stale ass Volkov main events and the Tybura main events and the fucking Sakai's of the
oh
world.
my
Like
god, just fat,
that
like lumbering heavyweights that throw big power strikes but really aren't technical with them. So it's like most of the 205s can probably dodge those strikes and then feed them a plethora of hands.
that era of heavyweight was so weak, and
It's
we are
tough.
emerging into a new crop of dudes that are dudes, and I'm super stoked for it. But we'll keep it pushing to this heavy or this co-main event, this flyweight co-main event, which I mean you could argue way that last spot, the main event was kind of like I want to say a title eliminator, but almost like a title quarterfinals match. Because
Yeah,
if Spivac would have beat Gane, he would have been right in that conversation with the Aspinalls of the world. So it was like
agreed.
a quarterfinals type of match. And you could argue that this next one's almost like a semifinals match because we had Blanchfield Santos last week, which was an absolute dud. And we were both talking about on last week's episode how well, these ladies didn't do themselves really any favors. Like what next week, Rose and Manon Fiorot fight. So like, let's see how that plays out and see if a number one contender emerges out of that crop. And you could argue, I think it did. I'll take the winner. And I'm a Blanchfield Mark. I'm a Blanchfield fan, but I got to call spade a spade. I think the winner of this fight, the co-main, Fiorot versus Rose. I think the winner of this one, just because of how the fight looked, how
I
the
agree.
fight took place.
Both girls went for
We
it. They were kind of nasty with the strikes. They weren't holding anything back. Fiorot showed great takedown defense. Rose obviously came up 10 pounds. I think that does hurt her in the grappling frames. I don't think she has the same kind of length and strength advantages that she had at 115. So interestingly enough, I don't know if her future at 125 is championship level. I think it's top 5. I don't think she's in the top 2, if that makes sense. Uh,
Yeah,
Now
I
that
mean,
being
hot
said,
take.
doesn't have a
You
right
could argue,
hand for 12 minutes of the fight. So, and wins the
yes.
third round on my card.
Okay, fair enough. I thought she was closer to winning the second or for the third is the only round I had like firmly for Fiorot. Quite frankly, I thought the rounds 1 and 2 were pretty murky, pretty close. But I think that illustrates that this was a fairly competitive fight, especially if you want to give any benefit of the doubt to Rose hurting her hand early in the first round. You factor that in, almost like whenever Burns fought Muhammad, like he fought that fight one armed, and we kind of gave him some bonus points, some street cred for that. You can do the same thing here with Rose if you want to.
No, yeah, I
Fiorot,
honestly coming off of it, I still like her stock. I don't think it's stock down for her, which, Fiora wins this in decision, but the rounds are very interesting.
for sure, we will go by round. Fiorot, it's weird. We view Fiorot as this young prospect. She's actually 2 years older than Rose. That was kind of the whole, the more you know kind of stat that jumped off the screen to me. I was like, oh, Fiorot's 2 years older than Rose. Interesting, very interesting. Obviously, Rose been doing it a long time, a lot of miles, a lot of big fights, a lot of big moments, but Fiorot's new to us. But Fiorot's actually older. I thought that was interesting. Minus 200 favorite, coming in ranked 3, taking on former strawweight champion Rose Namajunas, Doug Rose, plus 165. And, I knew Fiora was big, and she was fighting essentially a strawweight, so it made her look even bigger. But, bro, Fiora and Santos, I mean, hindsight's 2020. That's the fight that the UFC should have
Yeah,
made.
I
Those two women
agree.
are some horses, like physical matchup wise, like plus athlete versus plus athlete. We missed out on that one. Granted, there's a strong chance over the next 3, 4, 5 years we get that fight eventually, maybe even for a strap. But those two ladies are some horses compared because like that's why they should have done it. And then Blanchfield Rose, I think physically would have been a more even matchup. Neither one of them the biggest flyweights.
So let me ask you this: like, obviously Shevchenko, Grasso are about to fight in September. I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks for the rematch of that belt for the flyweight belt. I think the other four girls right behind them are all on the exact same level. Like, I'm very intrigued by flyweight and women's because I think there's 6 girls that all can interchange themselves at any given night if one girl just has their best night.
You could argue that like this belt's about to play hot potato. Like
I
nobody's
feel
gonna
like it
really
is
defend
because
it.
Santos Blanchfield was so close. Fiora Rose was so close, and if Rose has a full hand, her right hand, her best hand, is it closer? Does she win? Right. And so then, okay, I think all four of those girls are close to begin with, and if it's been proven in each of the fights that they're razor thin decisions, I don't know. I think that all 6 girls are pretty close.
You know a hot take I have, and maybe it's a hater take. I don't really know what to do with this take. Grasso may be my least favorite of the six.
Isn't it crazy? But she might have the highest in octagon IQ too, because she noticed Shevchenko threw that spinning back fist, let her do it a second time, caught her, took her down, finished her. Didn't let it happen more than once.
Right, man. You're right. She's slick. She's smart. She's well coached. She has a good camp. She's in shape. I mean, she checks all the boxes too. But like, is it fair to say she's like the least scary of the six? Like, just off of like intimidation factor. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird situation there. But weird in a good way. Just like you said, razor thin, super competitive. Top end of that division. I think the next 2, 3 years are going to be a lot of fun because it takes that long to sort through all this mess. That belt probably changed hands a couple of times, maybe a rematch or two. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, Grasso and Shevchenko, what, fight in 2 weeks, or is it
I
next week?
believe it's 2 weeks. I believe it's 2 weeks. Here, I got it right here. I had just pulled up their card actually, and then I put it down. Yeah,
Uh,
it's 2 weeks.
so I got to be real. I mean, I think if Grasso wins again, there's got to be a chance that Shevchenko either retires or goes to 35 because that'd be
Nunes
two
is
L's in a
gone.
row.
Shevchenko's probably
Nunes
the
is
best
gone.
girl that can still make 35.
35 ass right now. Actually, as a fan, that's what I'm hoping happens.
Me too.
Because otherwise they might as well just cancel 35. I'm not trying to watch none of them fight. But and so I honestly hope Grasso wins, defends their belt. We get some of these young contenders cycling through there fighting for the belt. Shevchenko makes 35 great again. And then women's MMA is in a better spot. I honestly think it's better for women's MMA if Shevchenko loses because you get parity at 25 and then 35 gets like an actual fighter we give a shit about. I think it's honestly better if Shevchenko loses because then if Shevchenko wins, you have all types of questions. Do you do the trilogy and all these young fighters that we want to see fight for the strap get shelved even longer or keep having to cannibalize each other? Or, and then 35 remains just dead as fuck. But honestly, let's go round by round just real quick because, like I said, I had a 30-27 Fioro, but I have rounds 1 and 2 being like razor thin, like coin flip rounds.
I thought 1 and 3 were coin flips.
See, it was just and it's we talked about Fioro's physically plus athlete, intimidating, all those types of words. Like when she would hit Rose, man, it was just so much power. It's
Yeah,
just
that's why I scored the first round too. Or I thought her strikes looked way more impactful when she landed.
yeah, for sure. And then, but in round 2, she started going to the body, and in round 2, I think is whenever she had the widest significant strike numbers differential.
Who is that, Fioro?
Fioro, I think.
Yeah, I thought
widest,
2 was her best round.
Yeah. 2 was her best round. There was the clash of heads made it really weird because there was a bad clash of heads in round 2, which cut Fioro and obviously kind of slowed her down. It hurt her.
Literally painted her whole face red, like the whole that side of her head.
Like you could argue, bro. Like I think that should be a point. Like that changes the fight. And you know what else?
Super accidental though.
Super accidental, but like once again, me and you have football backgrounds.
All right,
like,
but this is like targeting.
Accidentally,
do you feel like targeting should eject a player when the running back lowers his head?
closer to like a face mask penalty. Like most bad face mask penalties are accidents. Doesn't matter at all.
True.
You still get 15 yards. Like very rarely is somebody going full, longest yard mean machine and just trying to rip somebody's face mask off. Like that's very, very rare and very dirty and Dominic and Sue level shit that happens like once a year, once every couple of years. That's very rare. Almost every face mask penalty is an accident. And it doesn't matter in football. Like, I mean, as an offensive lineman, I'm sure sometimes you accidentally, get a holding call. It doesn't matter if the ref sees it. If you see it,
we hold every play, my guy. That's the secret.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I guess the face mask one's a better analogy.
Well, see, but I think targeting
it doesn't
is the best.
matter.
I think targeting is the best analogy here because it's caused by Fiorot moving her head too. It's not just Rose like lunging her head in; it's Rose lunging and Fiorot dodging. So it's almost like her bracing for or trying to avoid the strike puts her head in that position.
I'm just saying, bro. Like it impacted the fight. Like it almost won Rose the round. I don't know.
I thought Fiorot let off the gas in the first 2.5 minutes of round 3, and I thought it made a big enough margin for Rose to where I had her ahead by the end of the round still.
And I know the numbers is going to make this seem like a hyperbole, but like eye test watching it felt like Fiorot wasn't missing. It felt like everything she threw was landing clean. Like it just,
you know what's crazy about that?
Way.
She landed at a lower percentage than than Namajunas, and she landed at like 25%.
It's weird. It just, I guess the ones that landed
impactfully. They were just big, and she threw them in combination too, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like so, when she's missing the 1, 2, 3, but then landing the 4 and the 5, it's like, oh shit.
You know what? I think that does paint an accurate picture of how you end up with those stats, but that perception. Like the final punches on the
because she's connecting the power strikes but missing the trivial strikes,
the setup strikes. Yeah, no, that's a very, very astute point. Like I said, I had a 30-27. One judge agreed with me. You had a 29-28. Now, what rounds did the judge give to Rose?
Both gave round 3.
Oh, that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Fair play. I'll take that L. Yeah, man. But Fiorot, I'll say, out of the 4-man tournament or 4-woman tournament, Fiorot, I'd give her the title shot next.
I agree. If Grasso defends it, and obviously Shevchenko doesn't have any reason to fight again for it at that point, definitely Fiorot's up next.
And that's an interesting matchup, dude, because Fiorot is huge, man. And she's strong, and she's fast, and she's...
I honestly think she would beat up Blanchfield too, but I think Santos would give Fiorot a hard time. It's just weird, like
that's matchup. The matchup of Fiorot Santos. MMA gods, please, like the next 24 months, like we need that.
Yeah, we need that.
I understand some things got to work themselves out, but I need to see that. For science, as they say on. Man, let's keep it pushing because. I mean, I'll borrow a word from Helwani. He said it, not me. A star was born in this one, man, and I kind of don't disagree.
I agree. This guy got all the pump, all being the featured prelim in France, but he's French Special Forces. It seems like the people love and respect his story. His UFC debut was at welterweight, and we both agreed he shouldn't even have been in the UFC because of the beating he took. Now, granted, his chin is insane. That should also not be misstated or understated. But then he's on a 3-fight winning streak coming against Thiago Moises, who pretty much, in my opinion, is maybe number 20 at lightweight. You know, I mean, arguably very close to 15. And Bernard St. Denis.
Argue 17.
St. Denis dominated, man. Like, he ate some hard shots, don't get me wrong, and I thought that it was a very fun fight. But at the same time, he looked so good, so powerful, so, vicious.
St. Denis credit, this is going to sound like a fucking knob polish real quick, but, he only got touched once he kind of allowed Moises to touch him.
When he opened it up.
Sequences. Whenever he didn't want to get touched, he wasn't getting touched. Whenever he was going for the kill and said, fuck it, yeah, he ate 1 or 2, but it was on his terms. He was down to eat 1 or 2 to go for the finish.
And the elbows he was landing. Oh my God! I mean, he had probably Moises by the end of the first round had 3 major cuts on him, and both eyebrows.
I gotta say, this is probably a good thing we didn't bet this card, bro. Because when I saw Saint Denis minus 175, Moises plus 145,
Oh,
like
I wanted
knee jerk
all the
reaction.
Moises smoke. I was like, this guy's better. Like, who's Saint Denis? I don't even like Saint Denis that much.
Saint Denis a prelim guy, you know. Fucking Moises went 4 rounds with Islam, and the
Well,
broadcast
and
have to mention it.
I think we also thought that the win over Bonfim, he caught him with the sub at the end of the first round, and I think we just kind of said, it's a little bit of a fluke. But here we are. It doesn't look like much of a fluke.
No, man, and it's this perfect marriage of like elite, like heart and balls and chin. The
Yeah.
skills caught up. The
Right.
skills, like the offense, like just the game plan. I mean, we say the word dog a lot, but like the absolute, like not just any dog, like an actual like a track you down, go get you dog. Maybe more of a lion, because like he just like it's not like he's chained up in the front yard like, hey, don't come here. He's like, no, I'm gonna fucking go get your ass, and like he just comes after you, man. He round one was a banger. Like I Moises made it interesting. He would fire back a counter here and there, but just the damage that he on the feet, he looked like Duplessis with these blitzes and the power
I
strike, and
know.
then he got a takedown and then the ground and pound.
And did you notice he would work to
Did
the
you say elite?
Dagestani like half mount position where he would just pin him on the fence, put the one leg over, and then just rain down shots on his head? Like, even if they weren't flush, he was just like, I'm just gonna kill you with numbers. It was crazy. I mean, he looked almost like Khabib. Not wrestling wise, but the way he pinned him on the fence and was just assaulting him.
Just known for the grappling, high level black belt. And Saint Denis didn't even question for a second, like if he was like down to follow him to the ground or to take it to the ground.
Oh, he
Like
wanted it there. He wanted the
he
ground and
won,
pound.
which is just, I mean, I don't think anybody saw that coming, man. Like I don't think.
Even the
I mean,
commentators seemed surprised at that, which I think that's a good thing that you pointed out, a smart thing to point out. I think we all just were surprised by Saint Denis' just gameness, and like you alluded to earlier, it's that dog ass mentality, man. Where like he just is not going to take no for an answer,
literally scary dude. Like I mean,
right? Like
probably
Terminator.
has like killed people before. We talked about it. Like special forces, I mean, they don't send you in there to play patty cake if you're in the special forces. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, probably actually a killer. Probably actually enters like a mindset. Everybody throws out the term like willing to kill or be killed in there. He means it more than the average guy on the Contender Series. Like he is like actually probably willing to go there. Probably has gone there, and like just scary human being. Which I know this wasn't a very technical X's and O's breakdown. And there's other shows you can go to for if you want that. But like, I mean, just like scary dude. Dude now matters in this division for sure. Like I saw some people, and actually I got a lot of engagement on a little X post I made. So somebody said he wanted to match him up with Patty. And like I put like this little gif of like executions are fun because this guy would literally
Oh,
like maybe end Patty's career. And I'm like, but what I'm getting at here is I think he leapfrogged Patty. As far as like you talk about unranked lightweights that matter, for what an 18th month period, there was really nobody ahead of Patty on the unranked lightweights list of guys who matter. Call me prisoner of the moment if you want. I'm willing to throw Saint Denis' hat in that ring of like he's knocking on the door, bro, and he's not scared to fight anybody.
yeah, I fully agree with that, man. And Patty's talking about Frivola. That makes sense for him because Frivola's 14. I think Hinato Moicano or Diego Ferreira would be a great fight for Saint Denis next. Like, I think they're fighting
You're
the same level of guy. So if they both won, why wouldn't they fight each other? That would be all the chips in one basket right there, like 13 versus 14. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I mean, we got so caught up in just how terrifying Saint Denis is. I mean, TKO ground and pound came at like 444 in the second round, and I gotta say it, dude. And I don't take pleasure in saying this. Like he made Moises quit, bro. Like Moises wanted
Moises was
out of there.
so beat up, man. I mean, he didn't even
Like
get
he
up to like come have the decision read. He was still just sitting there like just broken.
broken, bro. And I mean, I don't know if we've seen it. I mean, Moises has had some L's, but I don't think we've ever seen that done to him. Like,
Even Islam didn't break him.
dude, Saint Denis, such a this tenacity, dude. It's such a just ferociousness. We
I
see
think the energy
ferocious
of the
Ferret
crowd.
Basra.
I think the energy of the crowd plays into that too. Honestly, man, like that French crowd was. I mean, you could barely hear the guys calling the fight over the noise of the crowd coming through their mics whenever Saint Denis was fighting. It was impressive.
Saint, Saint Denis Frivola, I think that's a hell of a fight. That's a good fight. I mean, honestly, I think I like Saint Denis in that fight, but Frivola, every time I bet against that guy, he makes me look like a damn fool. So I would bet Saint Denis, but like
Tongue in
Frivola
cheek,
make me
Saint
sweat.
Denis. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, bro. But we can keep it pushing here. Interesting matchup
Let's.
here.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about this one. I want to get your thoughts on it. I'm gonna grab a drink real fast, but I have some questions about it because obviously Bogdan Guskov, unranked, didn't know who the fuck this guy was, and usually I know the guy's coming out of nowhere. I have no idea who this guy was.
Yeah, we got Volkan Ozdemir, veteran top 10 light heavyweight, minus 185, which I thought was interesting. Not the biggest money line for a top 10 guy taking on, which I believe was a debut guy. Like Harrison alluded to, a guy nobody's really familiar with, Bogdan Guskov, plus 155. The broadcast team was stroking off Guskov. Vegas kind of was too with this money line, so I think a respected guy. Um, and Ozdemir has been in some wars. He is getting older. I was just saying how the broadcast team was definitely stroking off Guskov. And to a certain extent, Vegas put a lot of respect on his name too with this tight money line. Like you get a top 10 guy against a debut guy and the money line's in the ones. I mean, that's some respect. Some
Right.
respect.
Yeah, I was amazed by it, man. And like 14-2 record for Guskov. He fought in some like some fucking Russian organization. Just MMA series is what it's called. Like who knows? And he's a guy that's bounced around like 1,000 fight organizations too. So I don't know like what to make of him. You know what I mean? Because doesn't win belts, just kind of bounces guy to guy. Has finished every fight he's won, and has only been put out by Vyashav Vasilevsky before this. And Vasilevsky fights in Bellator now, I believe. Beast. So it's like obviously good track record, but also not a lot of guys on here that you know, right? Like if you look at the
Yeah.
names he's beaten, like I don't know who the hell any of these guys are for the most part. So it's almost like Ozdemir's
And
track
Ozdemir,
record is crazy.
so he's the exact opposite. Ozdemir's fought the who's who. Like you name him, Ozdemir's fought him.
Also, Ozdemir's body gets better every fight. The guy, like, clearly, do you remember when he first came in the UFC 3 or 4 years ago, man? He was like pudgy, fat, like looked like DC. Now he looks more
He's
like an
jacked now.
85 or like jacked. Like, good for him. Happy for him. Helped him in his career, I think. And yeah, I mean, we can
Sure.
dive into it. This fight only takes one round, but it's a banger.
Yeah, no, and Ozdemir obviously like known for his power, but like, were you shocked at how much the broadcast team was just polishing Guskov's knob? Like
They were talking
they
about
were,
like, yeah, they were like, oh, he's down to eat them to give them, and when he gives one, like, you can't eat those. And it was like, oh, I'm thinking to myself, like, Osmir's the guy that fucking puts people out with short jabs. Like, what are you guys talking about?
yeah, for sure, and that's what happened, bro. Ozdemir. I mean, shout out old Fitzy, man. It was the old club and sub. He knocked him down, and I mean, it's one of those. It goes down as a rear naked
Oh,
choke submission, but like
that's a chail you gave that one.
zero jujitsu was done, but yeah, we ended up
Yeah.
with a submission. Like you don't need a gi for that one, but yeah, I mean, essentially a knockout that like it's the old like you're playing the UFC game and you beat his life bar down and then just throw in whatever sub you want because it'll work. You know,
Just zero energy
yeah,
to
so
defend.
yeah, I mean Ozdemir, I mean the whole Bisping, I mean Guskov kept leaving the chin open. Ozdemir kept and Bisping still was using that moment to somehow like, oh, Gustav will take one to give one.
And
It's
Ozdemir
like,
did.
How about you shout out the
Ozdemir
clean
maybe
shot Ozdemir landed?
right, and Ozdemir maybe ate 3 or 4 like good shots where I was like, oh damn, like he does hit hard, but Ozdemir's got a pretty fucking solid chin unless you start tagging him like multiple times in a row. You can't just like one off Ozdemir for the most part unless you're an absolute freak.
I don't really want to hear about how hard a guy hits, bro. It's light heavyweight.
Right.
It's in the UFC. That's like,
Anthony Smith
an
is
NFL.
Anthony Smith has touched on that where they talk about like, oh, he's a heavyweight coming down. He's like, you think I don't spar heavyweights every day? Like, you think I don't walk around and like cut to this weight? Like, you don't think I'm a natural heavyweight? Like, that's crazy to think light heavyweights don't have heavyweight powers. Is his point.
The classic saying about light heavyweights is like heavyweights 362 days a year.
Yeah.
They get under 206 pounds for like 5 minutes a year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. For like three total weigh-ins of a cumulative like 10 minutes of their life, they're 206, maybe 205 pounds.
Exactly. And it's like saying, oh, this NFL corner runs a 4.4. Like, yeah, it's kind of like a prerequisite for like,
like motherfucker, you better.
Yeah, you better. So it's like, oh, this guy hits hard. It's like, I'm pretty sure Ozdemir's fought guys that have hit hard before, and guess what? He gets pretty fucking hard too. But yeah, I mean, Ozdemir. He's another one of those guys, dude. They're like every time they try to like, he's like what Neil Magny hopes he was. Like every time they try to like feed a prospect to him, like, or every time you start to doubt him, or every time you try to be like, Ozdemir's pretty mid, he'll fucking remind you.
Bro, but he's lost to every guy in front of him. Daniel Cormier, well, not Cormier obviously now, but Anthony Smith, Prohaska, Ankalaev, Krylov. He has losses to all these guys right now. Reyes, decision, split loss. Could fight that one back, but doesn't really make sense where he's at.
I was about to say, same thing with, like, I don't know if Anthony Smith beats him today.
Right. Well, and he has a win over Rakic, so he could push for, like,
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Rakic is, what, 3?
Yeah. But he has a win over Paul Craig
people
recently,
talk about him.
But that's before Paul Craig obviously went down.
No, but I mean, he's right there, man. I mean, I don't think Ozdemir is like championship level, but like that's what I'm saying. He's ranked 9. I think he's probably the 9th best guy in the world. Like literally, like I don't think he's like. What I'm saying is like he's like an effective gatekeeper. He's not the Neil Magny like lets the guys through the gatekeeper. He's the actual like brick wall gatekeeper of like. Crack the top 10 at light heavyweight. If you're able to beat this guy, like the proof is in the pudding. Everybody that was able to beat him has gone on to fight for a belt, basically, besides Krylov. And so it's like, or
is ranked Smith. 1, 2, and 5, and 6.
So that's what I'm saying. Like Ozdemir really is like people argue, oh, rankings don't mean shit. Like he may be the 9th best guy in the world, and like I don't think there's any shame in that. Like if there's only 8 guys on planet Earth that can beat your ass, like you're a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's like I think him and Anthony Smith right now today, very interesting fight. Anthony Smith obviously just won his fight, probably the fight to make. Considering that
neither one of them can be like, oh, I don't want to do a rematch.
And when they fought it was 5 years ago.
Exactly, and it's like. Neither one of those guys, because they fought everybody, you can't be like, oh, I don't want to do a rematch because it's like you kind of have to. Like it's like a Max Holloway.
Well, they're also very different now too. Like if I'm Ozdemir, I'm like, well, I'm not even the same guy. And if I'm Anthony Smith, it's like, well, I need to prove that I'm still that guy.
Smith knows he's not the same guy from 5 years ago, right?
Facts. That's facts.
That's not even shade. Father Time's undefeated, but yeah, 3 minutes 46 seconds in, gets the rear naked choke, submission victory. And you know what? We look up the bonuses. I don't have my laptop with me right now, and we haven't touched on any bonuses yet. I haven't even looked them up in my free time. I don't know who got bonuses.
Yeah, so Saint Denis and Moises did get fight of the night. And then Ciryl Gane also got a performance bonus. And then we also have another performance bonus that we're coming up to. No prelim performance bonuses, but we do have one more on the main card we're going to get to.
Am I a salty bitch for saying that, like, Ozdemir deserves Moises' bonus money? Moises quit, dude. I don't think you get fight of the night for being, like, a warrior dog, like, going out on your shield. Like, he found a way out of there. I think St. Denis deserves $50,000. I would give Ozdemir Moises' day in the duffel personally.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that, like, fight of the night, you might not have had to give a fight of the night here. You could have just given 4, like, finish bonuses.
Yeah, for sure.
Or hell, 3 finish bonuses in a fight of the night. I don't care. Ozdemir kind of deserved it. I thought, like, you put him in a fucked off position. Although let's keep getting to it because we got some more finishes coming up on this main card that are also impressive and controversial.
I mean, one more bonus hot take, real quick. Like, I thought if you're talking fight of the night, Fiorot Rose was more of a fight of the night than Moises Saint Denis
See,
personally. But
that's kind
we're
of where I
talking,
would go too. And that's your co-main, and that's Fiorot in Paris, kind of like cementing her place. Yeah, I think that made way more. And Rose fighting through a broken ass finger, like sounds more like a fight of the night to me than a guy that quit. And
yeah,
also,
the
then just give
second
Saint Denis
round,
the
like
50 grand. Like, don't give Moises 50 grand. And then boom, we'll just have all the
yeah.
bonuses in the last 3 fights, and you can look even smarter on paper, Dana White.
No, I completely agree. But man, yeah, you're right, man. We got another banger to talk about. We got William Gomez minus 205 favorite taking on the debuting. What is it? Giannis Gamora. What was his
Giannis
name?
Gamori.
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 Making his debut at plus one or plus 170 in the featherweight division. Um, it ends up being number one bullshit in the third round. But
Yeah, number
until
one
that point,
bullshit.
we had a pretty dope fight on our hand, which made the whack stoppage even like whacker because like it was a fairly competitive. We all wanted resolution to. I thought round one was super close. Essentially, it was a very tit for tat round. Like they were essentially trading body kicks like 90% of the round.
Yes, I
That's why it was
agree.
so close.
But I think one guy was landing slightly more effective body kicks, or body kicks I liked more. I'm interested to see if you agree.
And one guy landed a head kick, and the other guy didn't. I went Gomez.
I did too. The head kick definitely sold it, but I also thought the snap on his body kick seemed a little stronger too. I thought he was kind of beating up
Oh
Gamori
yeah,
more with them.
Gomez's kicks are nasty, and we've heard about him coming into like we've heard about his kicks. They're like got a reputation
We need, we need to start
for
remembering.
sure.
Whenever guys have a crazy reputation for something in their first fight in the UFC, throw it out the window. Who gives a shit? It's their first fight. They're gonna forget and have too much nervousness or whatever. But we need to remember that guy for their second fight because we were promised Gomez being this amazing kickboxer or whatever in his first fight, and we didn't really see it. But this fight, he's more comfortable in the UFC. He's home in France. He would look just like what we were sold on him being.
That's actually a very fair point. You're right. This was like the version of the guy that like the rumor mills were talking about for sure. Round two, I thought was Gomez's best round of the fight. He was stuffing the takedown attempts, which I think tells you a lot. Like so the whole first round, they were trading strikes. In the second round, Gamori took a takedown heavy approach. That lets you know that like he wasn't he didn't feel like he had the upper hand in the striking. And he failed those takedown attempts. So Gomez was stuffing the takedowns, really got the boxing going in round two, started landing some stiff punches. 10-9 Gomez round two all day, right?
Right. Totally agree with that. No problem. I've Gomez up 2018. Like, it's not, I don't even think it's that much of a question. I feel like he's starting to control the fight more and more. And then we get to number one bullshit third round where the ref essentially takes over and ends the fight for us.
Like, bizarre. Like, I still, like, sometimes something weird happens and you have 48 hours to think about it and you can kind of play devil's advocate and try to see both sides or, you think about something and you make sense out of it. I'm still fucking scratching my head. I don't even know what we watched, bro. Like, even the official UFC account was like, the official UFC account, like, you got to think about it. It's by definition like a company man, like a,
Yeah. It's
politically
run
correct,
by them.
like, they were like talking about the stoppage. I've never seen that before. Like literally, as somebody who's very active in like the MMA Twitter community, like I don't think I've ever seen a official UFC X account post about. I don't know about that stoppage. Like that's how weird it was because it wasn't even a bad stoppage as a form of. It was a bad stoppage, but it wasn't like that was too early, that was too late. Like so what we have here
It's
is
too confusing.
A low kick, emphasis on the air quotes there on low kick. Gotta admit, watching live in real time, I thought it was a low kick.
Me too. Agree. It's because it's right on the belt line, like, or the shorts line.
Yes, and it was one of those ones. And then so the ref, actually, and this is where if I have gun to my head, I have to make a lawyer and devil's advocate case for the ref. He does look at both guys and say, like, keep fighting. He does do that. Guy does. The guy Gamori turns his back and like reaches for his nuts. Does it?
Gomez pursues it. Half-ass.
Does he throw any more strikes?
No, but he was still walking towards him. He was starting to like jump, like, whatever. He's still going toward him. The ref still said fight, and Gomez is still trying to fight.
I agree. I think Gomez straight like bum rushed him there, and just like the rest
Yes,
said, "Fight,
should have,
protect yourself at all
but
times."
Gomez kind of like almost like questioningly walked up. Like he was like, are we fighting? Like he was kind of coming up like, I don't know if he's fighting me. Like looking to the ref, like, is he gonna fight me?
Yeah, usually I would say maybe there was a language barrier, but I'm pretty sure Gomez is French. The ref was French. I don't know where Gamori was
He's
from,
French.
but
This is the only
Gamori
fight where it was two French people.
that makes no sense that there was like miscommunication in this fight of all fights.
Right.
So the ref, after saying fight and they don't, the ref waves off the fight to the TKO.
As Gamori's back is turned, which by intelligent defense, like if Chael will lawyer, I guarantee Chael's going to talk about this. Because he's going to talk about Gomez should have rushed him. He's going to talk about Gamori, even if you get kicked in the nuts, you can't turn your back.
And like honestly, bro, and like this is going to sound like the ultimate fence rider take. There's three men in the octagon. All three men mishandled the situation. Like I thought, like
yeah, because we're saying Gomez was too in between and gave him room to like be a question. Gamori turned his back unintelligently, not acknowledging what the ref was telling him, and the ref just kind of jumped in and didn't try to communicate the situation to either side.
We've seen similar spots. I think like Herzog comes to mind where he'll literally be like, "No, fight."
Yeah,
like,
or like Mark
no,
Smith
no,
will
like
Mark Smith will look at the guy and be like, "That was a legal blow. Continue fighting. Protect yourself." Like he'll like make it very clear.
That's another point where the referee came up short. Everybody's talking about the stoppage, but I thought the communication was piss poor, especially when we're talking about three goddamn Frenchmen. Because he did go like this, but it was kind of like subtle, right? Like It was kind of just like he wasn't like that extra Mark Smith, Jason Herzog level of clarity. So we end up with a TKO here. And like you said, I do believe it was a legal kick, but that's only after watching it in super slow-mo 4K. So, like, live, it did look low.
However,
Felder kind of came around saying that it was one of those kicks that, like, jostled the cup. And, like, he doesn't think that, like, you know, Gamori was straight up pulling an Aljo here and acting.
I think the right man still wins the fight I mean, that's hard to say considering there's still a minute and a half left. But up to that point,
I think that's a fair statement.
I think that's true, but I also think that sometimes, like, we go to hyper slow-mo replay and it's like the Des Bryant catch. Like, maybe we're better off just going with what the ref rules it in the moment sometimes when it's really that close. Because it's like now we're going to argue that the whole time and neither guy gets to be talked about in the right way.
But see, I think that's the same. I have a similar take, just like the exact opposite take. Like, how about we have the technology to happen? How about we just like live in reality and go off of like it should have been up for review, I guess is what I'm saying. Like,
right.
Once you look at it in super slow-mo 4K, you resume clock just like they do in football. He said, obviously, I keep bringing up these football analogies. I'm a football player by trade, I guess, if you will. So it's like,
but he couldn't win by illegal. Like it would have gone to the scorecards had they. So had he called TKO and then they review it and they see it's illegal, then they come back and say it's
fighting. No, you make him keep fighting. You just resume it. It hasn't been that much time. Like like
I'm pretty sure the rules though dictate that after.
No, I agree. I'm saying I disagree with the rule. Like they need to.
Oh yeah,
how that's handled.
Agreed. I agree with that.
Yeah,
but I'm still saying that they would have probably ruled this legal, right? The kick, don't you think?
I would hope so. It sure seemed like legal to me in slow-mo.
So then it's like
keep fighting.
So then it's like Gomez wins by TKO right then, because the other guy didn't continue fighting on a legal blow.
See,
and that's where you get back to the ref needing to be more clear. I think it's just a dog chasing its tail in the situation where no one's going to be right.
Just mishandled on all sides. Led to a super anticlimactic finish. Gomez on paper gets the TKO. And also, like, Gamori, like, something else I didn't like as soon as the fight waved off, he, like, snapped out of it and started arguing. I was like, I'm good to fight. Well, like, if you were good to fight, then, like, why did you have your back turned, like, hunched over? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit of revisionist history there. So I'm literally, like, salty at all three guys, quite frankly. Like, it was just kind of piss poor. It just seemed very amateurish. Like, seems like something I would see down at the King of the Cage at the Silver Legacy.
That I fully agree with. It didn't seem like a professionally ran, like, entertainment fight.
It just seemed like number one bullshit. Circle back to our original take. This was number one bullshit on all parties. Everybody's coming down hard on the ref, coming down hard on Gamori. If Gomez would have ran in and threw a flying knee, we'd be having no questions here.
Right.
The ref said keep fighting.
Right, because the ref would have stepped back and been like, all right.
Yeah. So the shame on all three of them. But we got one more fight on this main card. New interesting featherweight to talk about. I believe this was this guy's debut, was it not?
Was his debut? Very interesting. Morgan Charrier against Manolo Zucchini. Some fucking tough names. I'll be honest on that one.
Sweet names though. Sweet names.
Morgan Charrier. That's a sweet name.
It sounds like we got a bottle of champagne fighting a new cologne line.
Yeah, right. Manolo Zucchini. Yeah, exactly. That's great. What were the odds here? Because Charrier had a teammate fighting just before him, Taylor Lapalus.
I like Lapalus, however.
Yeah, I liked him too, which then made me think, like, when they were talking about this on the walkout, I was like, well, I already like his teammate. Do I like this guy more? And they were building this guy up way more. Like, the hype they put on Charrier was, I expected him to be somebody, and he kind of is.
Right? Yeah, kind of is. They put him on the main card.
Granted, it's bantamweight.
For sure. I know featherweight on this one.
Featherweight, I'm sorry, yeah.
Minus 345 favorite, taking on Manolo Zucchini, plus 275. Man, this fight ends violently and it's spectacularly. And we'll talk about obviously. You got finished in the first round.
Man, that's tough. Your whole audio from the minute you started introducing this is out.
I thought Manolo Zucchini performed well. He used to let me know when I'm back. I apologize. Everybody, I'm back. Hello? No? Fuck me.
He wishes he was back. There he is.
Am I back?
Yeah. So we heard not one word of what you said about any of that.
I was being a little long-winded. I thought, even though he got finished in the first round, I thought Zucchini performed well. And I was just going to say, like, back when I was more of a casual, before I was balls deep in it like I am now, I used to hate when I used to thought that was excuse-making. Whenever guys would be like, oh, he lost, but he performed well. I'd be like, well, how well did he perform if he got finished in the first round? I thought, Zucchini was fighting very, very well. Didn't look like a -2 or a plus 240, plus 275 dog. Because he got hit with 3 liver shots in a row, and that finishes almost any human on earth. Like,
fully agree.
Credit to Charrier for.
Bro, Charrier's accuracy to hit that 3 times in a row, front kick, and then side kick, and then when he dropped him to hit it again, like jumping kick, he hit him 3 different kicks, all 3 in the liver. And one was right leg to, like, for anyone's thinking about livers on the right side of your body, so left side of your opponent, he went cross-body front kick to hit it the first time. It was crazy.
It was such a sick sequence, like a triple liver kick, but like 3 different types of kick.
The last one was like soccer kick, like running, jumping soccer kick. And you could tell like Zucchini like jumped off the mat when it hit him. It hurt him so much. He was like, ah.
It was violent. It was spectacular. It was gorgeous. This is another guy you could have given Moises' bonus money to.
This is what this guy did get a bonus. But this is also one where it's like, if this guy's getting a bonus, how is Saint Denis not as well? Because as spectacular as this was, I thought Saint Denis.
Ozdemir?
Ozdemir, yeah. Sorry. As spectacular as this was, I thought Ozdemir's overall performance might have still been better.
You could argue maybe against higher level competition.
And he finished him faster.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ozdemir got hosed on the bonus money for sure. But yeah, I mean, hey. These liver kick guys, we just talked about this last week on Giga's fight. Like
the Giga kick.
Liver kick guys, it's almost like I hope he's not a one-trick pony. Because you're right, before the liver kick, this was anybody's fight, and he was getting tagged. So it's like these liver kick guys, a lot of hype, and they get the highlights and the bonuses, but like I hope he's not a one-trick pony. Like Giga's kind of over time looking like a one-trick pony, and I hope this guy's not. I mean, that sounds kind of like a hater take, but it's just like I don't know. I kind of got to have like buyer beware on these liver kick guys.
I don't
Seems like
know.
Giga's
I
looking more human.
I'm starting to like not believe in like high level kicking at the top level of MMA, if that makes sense. Like, seems like all the people that come with like the best repertoire of kicks. So you could say Giga, you could say Yair, and Yair being the best example of like the highest they've gotten to. It still just isn't quite enough whenever you own like because as soon as someone can wrestle or they can kick you and leg kick you, your kicks aren't going to the body because you're getting your legs chopped apart.
Yeah, Ankalaev is another example of that. Because you're right. Like even when guess what? When Poetan finished Izzy, it was with the hands. When Izzy finished Poetan, it was with the hands. And those are the best kickboxers in the UFC. So if they're not doing it in their championship fights, what makes you think your prelim ass is going to be able to do it? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like it's a great weapon to have, and it will get you past so many people that maybe you shouldn't even beat, but they're weak in that aspect. But those top three in every weight class, I mean, I think every weight class this is true. Those top three are some of the best strikers, mixed martial artists on the planet. The top three in every UFC division. I think that's just fair to say, right? So, like, one trick ponies don't succeed at that point. You have to have more than one.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, man. I mean, Charrier. I mean, I won't, rain on his parade, too much. Gets a bonus, gets a first round finish on the main card in France. I mean, he's got the look. The hair looks like fucking Juice World or some shit. Like him, looks cool, looks marketable.
He had
Seems
the
young, seems
personality too.
exciting.
You could tell when he walked in,
Yeah,
like he clearly was vibing with the audience. Now he is 18-9 coming into this fight. I do love the Last Pirate being his nickname because he does a lot of like One Piece animation memes. Like he does all kinds of things from that show throughout his fight, which I thought was hilarious. But um, yeah, I mean when you look at his record, man, does come out of Cage Warriors, which UFC loves. Get the Cage Warriors guys. Has 3 wins in a row after losing his belt in a majority decision. So very talented guy, and I think he's big on the European market, which is why we don't know him, but why France was so happy to have him.
yeah, for sure. And like, honestly, I'll say it. I think Europe does a better job of like supporting their regional MMA scene than America does.
It's true. It's just facts. I've yeah. Every time they go to a country and their fighters are fighting in that country, it's it's like the nationalism is a different standard than what it is here. Which I had this odd thought too that like nationalism in the United States is like looked down upon, whereas in other countries they're so long standing they almost have to be proud of who they are because all those countries like Hungary for instance been there for 1100 years. Like you got to be proud of being somewhere for 1100 years.
Yeah, and also I think there's so other many countries in proximity that like kind of have to, and like they don't really have state pride. I think in America we have
We have
like
state
state
pride,
pride.
yeah, like the Oklahoma, Texas pride type shit, the Florida, Georgia type shit, the New
Yeah,
York,
like
Boston.
I got a California and Oklahoma tattoo. I don't have
Oh,
like a bald eagle on me. You know what I'm
California's so
saying?
big though; it has like NorCal, SoCal. It has like a split in and of itself, which is wild.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And these states are the size of these European countries
That's
too,
a
so it even makes
right.
sense. Like you're repping the same like amount of soil. Like you know what I'm
It's
saying?
a great point. Texas is bigger than like I think 2 or 3 Germanys or something like that, or 2 or 3
Oh yeah,
Frances, one of those two.
Nevada, California, hell, Oklahoma's pretty fucking big. I mean, it
In
takes you what
comparison,
four or
yeah, it's
five
bigger
hours
than
to drive
Hungary or
across.
Belarus or any of that shit.
That's what I'm saying for sure, bro. Yeah, yeah. So I think we just kind of approach it in a different way here. Like I'll tell you what, like when I went to the local King of the Cage fights, all the Nevada fighters got a big pop.
Right.
So similar thing. But yeah. I mean that wraps up the main card, man. You down to do the prelims? Run the prelims here in a second.
Yes, sir. You already know it. We will
Yeah,
be
cool.
right back around to bring you all the prelims. Only 5 fights on the prelims instead of 6, which thought was a weird switch up considering 6 were on the main card.